Hello and welcome to the You Know How to Live show. My name is Kate Hammer, and today we will have Maggie York with us. And before I tell you a little bit about Maggie, I just want to let you know that today actually marks the end of season 1. This is the final episode of the season, and we don't yet have a date set for season 2. So, in order to not miss a new episode, make sure you're following along. You can do that on Instagram or even wherever you are listening to podcasts. So if you want to check us out on Instagram, the handle is at @youknowhowtolive_. But back to Maggie. So Maggie is so many wonderful things. She's an interior designer. She's a social media influencer. She's a former client of mine and currently a very close friend. She's a mom of 4. She's a Midwest gal. She's a farmer's wife. She's a force of inspiration. I am so excited for you to get to know her and for this conversation that we're going to share with you on making home work for you. Now, wherever you're listening or watching from, I'm so glad that you're tuned in and hanging out. I hope you're ready for my favorite combination of things, hopefully a bit of entertainment, and of course, some takeaways to improve how you work and play and do all the things you do in between. Please take a moment right now to subscribe, follow, leave a comment, or give a 5-star review so that we can stay connected. And with that, let's bring in Maggie York. Hi, Maggie York. I can't believe you're here with us today.
I know. Hi. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, absolutely. We've known each other for quite some time, and we'll definitely get into that, like how we know each other and a little bit about how we work together and things like that. But first of all, let's help people just get to know you a little bit.
Well, yes, we have known each other. It seems like forever now, but I'm Maggie, and I live in the Midwest, Central Illinois, and I'm an interior designer, lifestyle blogger, and I live on a farm, 4 children, lots of dogs. What else do you want to know?
Yeah. So Maggie, when I first came across you, it was on Instagram. And what I was really drawn to was how you decorate your home and how you make it feel, not just visually, because everything is absolutely beautiful. And you just have like a very unique and special way of curating and making spaces feel both airy and sophisticated, but also super approachable and family friendly. So I was really drawn in by that. But then I quickly found out, like, oh my goodness, this woman has 4 children. Some of them are quite young.
Yeah.
She is on a farm. She, has a greenhouse that she works with throughout the year. And you have so much going on, like just this very robust background. And then over the past few years, you have done so much more with influencing as that has just grown generally as an option for creatives and people who have a point of view to put out there. So can you tell us a little bit about, what your intention was maybe like a couple years ago, and then how things have kind of morphed through that time?
Yes. Well, I started, I had always dabbled in design and decorating to begin with. And then, several years ago, we started working on this house that we live in, which was my husband's home. He's lived here since he was 13, with the exception of college years. And that was our first big project working together on this home.
Yeah.
And eventually, over time, I started helping others. I got questions to help friends and family, and I started doing a lot of that. I helped my aunt and uncle with a beach house of theirs, and
Hmm.
from that, I got my first real big client. I started working. So I started working in design. I think that was like 3 years ago, more full
Hmm.
time, 2 or 3 years ago, and
Yeah.
somehow over time, as I've taken on projects and worked on projects, I sort of started doing more and more on Instagram, which kind of has led to this whole other business that I never
Hmm.
really had an intention of stepping into. So
Yeah.
it's been a lot of man, it's been a learning experience. I will tell you that much, and I learn as I go with it. But it's been great. So
Yeah. Everything that I've noticed about how you've grown in your space is that it all just has this very natural quality. Like you said, you were working on your house and making it work for your family and with your particular aesthetic. And people notice and they went in on that. And they're like, hey, you know what? I don't really have an eye like that. Can you help me? And then you share more of that online. And then people are like, well, I'm also noticing what you're wearing as you're showing us these spaces. And I'm also noticing that you have these kids and that like their rooms are really cool or they're playing with something that I'm interested in. And so you've kind of just received all of that feedback and run with it as opposed to, jumping in like, okay, here's what I'm trying to do. And I'm going to
Right.
just make people come along with me. Like you've just been so able to adapt in the context and, you know, go where people are asking you to go. So,
Yeah, I think that is something that I love about this whole process is that it wasn't necessarily forced or I wasn't really trying to make that change of direction. And it just kind of came. And yeah,
yeah.
it is a lot of work. But with that being said, it also, it allows me to do more of what I love every day.
Yeah.
So that's been a great bonus to it.
Yes,
So
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you can tell. Listen, like, first of all, go follow Maggie, Margaret of York on Instagram. You'll see right away everything we're talking about here, like how clear her perspective is. Um, there's just such a clear continuity there. You get this very coastal, traditional vibe. I think there's a ton of curiosity around the role of the influencer for, your typical mom who's just scrolling through Instagram looking for inspiration. Like, how does it all work? What's going on behind the scenes? For you, Maggie, you come up with these really creative reels. For anyone who's unfamiliar, reels are short videos on Instagram, similar to what you would see on TikTok.
nice.
But there, potentially there can be a great deal of planning and even hours of work that can go into 15 or 30 seconds of video. So
Yeah,
yeah,
for
it's a
sure.
ton.
For sure. No, we
Uh,
actually were videoing some ads for a brand recently, and they were 15-second videos. And you think, oh, 15-second videos, 15-second videos, like no big deal. But that was the longest 15 seconds when we were
yep.
shooting it, trying to figure out exactly what we were going to do in that 15 seconds. So it is,
Yeah.
I mean, it has its challenges, but it's fun. So
Totally. But I
yeah.
think one of the great takeaways that people should get from this episode in particular is that if you are someone who has an idea or a vision for yourself and you feel like you're a creative person and you set out in one direction, don't be surprised or even frustrated if you notice that that starts to morph because
Right.
it's very possible that you're just moving in a direction that's better aligned for you or that over the seasons of your life that will change and adapt to make more sense for who you are. And clearly that's, what you've done, Maggie, and you've really gone with it and brought us all along on the journey.
Well, thank you. I remember, so for those that don't know, Kate and I worked together for a period of time while I was doing design. And I remember we were doing goal setting, and I had such a hard time setting like this big end goal because I kept thinking in my head, well, I don't know. I don't know what it's going to be. And I think that's part of my process because not I love goals, don't get me wrong, but for me I couldn't set this end goal. I still don't know what it's going to be because I do think it's ever evolving and changing in my situation in particular. And that's okay. It's okay. A lot of people
Yeah.
think that they have to have this certain goal that they have to meet, and that's not always the case. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe the intention is more along the lines of staying open and being observant to what's feeling
right.
right and what's working.
Yeah, I fought that for a long time. And then more recently, I'm like, I'm just going to go with the flow of how things are happening for me naturally. And it really, when you don't fight it, it comes so much easier. So,
Ah, let's just give that a beat. When you don't fight it, then it comes so much easier. I think, man,
mhm,
do we put a lot of energy into trying to live into a standard that it's kind of set out for us in society. Like, okay, I need to wake up at this certain time. My morning needs to look this one particular way, and my day needs to look like this. And if I don't go to sleep getting these things done, then I don't deserve to feel peace or
Right.
health. Um, but the reality is that as individuals, a great day can look a million different ways.
Totally. And I think you might have been the one to teach me this, that even if I only get that one task done in that day, like I should feel really good about that. And I started
Yeah.
looking at that more and more as I used to think, oh my gosh, I got nothing done today. But then I remember Kate being like, go back and look at everything that you did today. And it may not seem like a lot, but that was a big task and you got it done.
Yeah.
And I think about that often when I think about having a day that maybe didn't go as planned. So
Yeah. Oh, and gosh, like as for moms, that's most days,
yeah,
right? Like stuff's gonna come up.
100%. Yes, yes. Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
Especially during Christmas break when they're home and you really can't get anything done. So
Yes. Yes. So if you're listening, we are actually recording this just a couple days before the episode is going to be out. So when you're going to be actually listening to it, that hasn't always been the case for this season, but it means that we get to talk about some things that are a little bit more timely,
yes.
in terms of the new year. But that
Yeah,
being one of them that like, oh my goodness, break, oh, challenge.
I know. I know. So we're back in school, day 2. So so far so good. So
Yeah. Yeah. Amen to that. Okay,
yes.
awesome. So Maggie was talking a little bit about how we worked together in the past,
Mhm.
and through bumping into each other on Instagram and connecting there, and then working together a little bit, we developed this friendship where we're able to understand each other in a context that is not necessarily common. So, like for so many friends and family who are very dear to me and who I love very much, it's very difficult to describe what it's like to have so much of your business operate online.
Right.
So for me, like having Maggie as a friend has been just an absolute game changer. And just knowing, like, in very few words, I can explain like something that's going on, and she knows. Yep.
Understands it. Yep. Mhm.
Hmm.
Yes, I agree with that. And I think that's so important. You need that person that understands. It is a whole different world. And it's something my family doesn't relate to or understand. So, I
Yeah.
mean, just it is important. I agree.
Okay. So a big theme for today's conversation, and something that I think Maggie brings to the table better than anyone else I know, is kind of like what I was describing earlier about what you see when you go to her Instagram. The approachability of how she crafts a home, this concept that instead of just working on your home, that you're actually making your home work for you. And so Maggie, let's talk a little bit about how can someone do that. We're looking at our house, we see all these projects, we see all these things that we want to change.
Yeah.
How do we make our homes work for us?
That is such a good question. And I think we really have to take a look at how we live and what our daily routine looks like
Mm,
because you need to think about ways that you can make that routine easier for you through
mm,
your home. So, I don't know, how do you use your home? Maybe you have a large family and it's home base,
mhm.
for however many children. And, like in my situation, 4 children, dogs, husband.
Yeah.
It's home base. That's, maybe you work long hours, you're coming home and you need a sanctuary where you can just kind of sink into something comfortable and have quiet and relax. Maybe you entertain a lot, or maybe you cook a lot. Think about how your home can work for you and your daily routine. So, thinking about, myself here with a large family, everything in our house is family friendly, like fabrics, rugs, furnishings. It has to
Mhm.
be family and life friendly because we're messy. 4 children, dogs. Like I woke up yesterday and the dog had been on the new sectional, which is white, and there were paw prints all over it. And
Mhm.
thankfully, I chose this performance fabric, so I knew I could just get a wet, damp cloth and wipe it up. And it was gone. It was out. So
Wait, so it really worked?
it does work. It works. It's so important to, when you are making these selections for your home, when it's, furnishings, fabrics, I really like to select things that I know will withstand the elements of my family in my home. It's
Mhm.
just, we're on a farm. Our mudroom has mud in it. Like, that was hard for me for a while, but that's the purpose of that space. So,
Yes, that's so true.
you know, it, that's the whole point of a mudroom, right?
Yeah.
So I think, you know, we have life happens, and between children's and pets and adults, we are human. We're making messes every day. Like, that's just part of life. So
Mhm.
you kind of have to surrender to that and then make choices for your home that will make life easier when those things happen. And so that's
Mm.
been a big focus around our house. Like, I would hate to have something too precious
Yeah.
for somebody to sit in, and to be enjoyed, because, it was extremely expensive and it's breakable, and that doesn't work in our home.
So you're talking about how you can problem solve essentially ahead of time, prevent problems instead of
Right.
prevent behaviors that are natural to how a family is going to operate and
Yes.
constantly be, yelling at people to take off their shoes and do this and
Right.
do that and get off this couch and whatever, like don't break the lamp. Instead, be intentional about planning your space. I love that. One issue though
Uh-huh.
that we, I think, run into sometimes as moms when we're attempting to make our homes more family friendly is reliability. So when something is supposed to be washable and then you
Right.
buy it and it turns out it's not. So one thing I really love, Maggie, that you offer, and again, why I think everyone should be following you at Margaret of York on Instagram is because you actually test these products. So, for example, if someone's looking for a white sectional that they can actually sponge off and they don't have to sit there and wonder, is this, you know, 7 grand just essentially like, I think I'm getting a washable couch and I'm really not.
Right.
They
Right.
can just take your lead on it and
Yeah,
just be
for
like
sure.
having that peace of mind. Yeah, it's going to work.
I also think it's really good to research before you purchase.
Mm.
So I did a lot of research on, for example, like my sofa has perennials fabric on it. So I got on their
Mhm.
website, I spent some time, I watched the videos, I watched the care videos, and yeah, they do make it look really easy. So the next step, order a swatch from the company
Mhm.
and then test it yourself and see how, the elements maybe that you're bringing into your home every day, or you
Yeah.
might not want to be bringing in, but they are coming. Um,
Mhm.
how easily that those wipe up or clean up for you, and see, then you can just put it to the test before you make that big purchase. So
Yeah. Maggie, how does someone, well, some swatches you can just order from a website as your
yeah,
average Joe. How
right.
does somebody get a swatch if that's not an option?
Well, then they if are you saying more like to the trade, or
Yes.
they can contact, if they have a designer, they can contact the designer and the designer can get, order it for them, or there are times I think you can reach out to the company and actually get swatches, but so I don't know, that's a tricky question you're asking.
Well, I think the point that I'm trying to
Yeah.
surface here is that if you haven't worked with an interior designer before, you may not even realize that rug samples, that textile samples,
Yeah.
wallpaper samples are even available to you if you don't see them online on a website where you can just add them to your
Right.
cart.
So
And that might not always be the case. Yeah.
most big box stores, you should be able to get a swatch of the fabric. So I
Cool.
think, and not only do you want it to see, if you're going to be able to wash it up easily, but it's nice to actually see the color in person. A lot of times online, it's just not
Mhm.
the same. It is not at all the same. I had, for example, I had a swatch I thought was a blue I ordered, and it was definitely a green.
Ooh,
So,
yeah.
and I mean, even photographed, it looks more blue, but in real life, it's green. So,
Yeah.
you
Bottom
just,
line, get the swatch.
I think so many people jump into these things without a plan. I know it takes more time to order a swatch, but
Mhm.
it really is important. So,
Yeah. And between just the standard of any furniture that's customized, it's made for your order, you're going to be waiting anyways. So what's
Right.
another week?
Might as well. Yes, exactly. You might as well.
So oftentimes we run into this situation where we just have this huge laundry list of projects that we want to approach. How do you recommend someone figure out what to focus on, what to do first?
So this kind of goes with what I was just talking about, but also like I think it's important to identify the stressors in your home and the areas that you really I think I think it's important to look at the areas that are causing the most problems or issues
Yeah.
and, start there. Um, but with that being said, I also love just creating a good base throughout the entire home. And I think there's like two ways you can approach this here.
Yeah.
Um, I think paint is so inexpensive and such an easy way to get started
Mhm.
if you don't have a lot of hardscapes that you need to tackle first.
Tell me a little bit about what you mean when you say hardscapes.
So, like your hard surfaces in your
Mhm.
house, so in like your tile, your flooring, you know, countertops, cabinetry,
Gotcha.
your moldings and things like that. It's really good to establish a good base with that first. If you're doing,
Mm.
if you're doing somewhat of a renovation, maybe you're not, tearing down walls, but you're wanting to refresh the whole space. Start
Mhm.
with those first because once you have a good base for your home, you get those hard surfaces, done, finished,
Mhm.
and then you come in and you do your paint and your wallpaper. Then it's easier to pull everything together to bring in your
Yeah.
furnishings and your different pieces. So often I have met with people and we will be talking about a renovation. And then the next thing I know, they've run out to Target and filled their cart and they're sending me
Mhm.
pictures. And they're like, this lamp or this one. And I'm like, we aren't there yet, guys. Hold on.
Yeah.
Let's get the hard stuff down first because
Yeah.
that's going to lay the foundation for your home. And so I really think that's a good place to start. Kitchen, obviously, always. I mean,
Mhm.
the kitchen is important, part of the home. But I also see how many people neglect the primary bedroom and they leave that like for last. And
Yeah.
that is such an important space because that is where we're resting, we're sleeping, we're
Mhm.
recovering. Like, make it a sanctuary, make it a nice, relaxing space for you. So,
Yeah. You know, this is so important because I know that when people heard you just talk about filling their cart at Target, that would
I know.
100%
I mean,
resonate.
we're all guilty of that,
Yeah.
but
Well,
mm,
we all want that quick fix, right? Like, we
yeah,
look on our
yeah,
houses sometimes and we're like, "Oh, like, I need this to change right now." And the truth is we can't, like, decorate ourselves out of it. We
that's
have
where we
to.
run into a lot of problems. I mean,
Mhm.
we all are guilty of it, but there will be times that, somebody will get an idea and they're like, "Okay, I'm gonna create this project. I'm gonna do this," and they just jump into it without a plan. And
Yeah.
then they're just making random purchases and they're not measuring or they're not thinking about scale. And then
Yeah.
they get everything in the space and they're like, this isn't working. So
Mhm.
it is really good to have a plan. It
Yeah.
takes more time, but you'll feel better about it when you execute it. So
Yeah. So hopefully you're encouraged then to actually, like, get your inspiration, go to
yeah,
Pinterest, go,
right.
scroll Instagram, but then think first, like Maggie said, about what problems do you actually need to solve?
Mhm.
What base parts do you actually need to address first before you go into decoration mode?
Right.
And yeah. And then Maggie, maybe then it's not always the case that it's about which room.
Right.
Maybe sometimes it's about, painting throughout or flooring throughout,
Yeah,
right?
for sure. I really think that, like I said, that lays the foundation for your home. It's a good base, and then you have more direction where to start instead of entering the next room and being like, ugh, I hate this and this about it. And it's like the whole room is something that you don't enjoy when the next room is so shiny and pretty. You want
Yeah.
it to flow. You want your transitions to flow. And so if you are doing all of your hardscapes in the beginning and
Mhm.
working on your paint all at one time, then things are more likely to flow from one room to the next. And they're speaking
Mhm.
to each other in this way where, and it's just a happier environment.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. I'm really personally just taking all this to heart. It's making me think a lot about our next steps. And I think I'm definitely guilty of like going ham in one particular area and
yeah,
then having that moment of, okay, well, now this is like my new favorite room,
right.
but I
But I
can't like
just,
live in this room.
yeah. Well, it's like I remember I've done the same thing, and in the past I remember robbing one room of all of the beautiful
Yes.
elements,
Oh my gosh, I do that
and then
too.
walking back to that room like this is so sad now.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Totally. There are certain items.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think like you and I have this in common too, because sometimes we move things around for photography or video
Yes.
purposes for our
Yes.
content. And
Yeah.
that's just part of the thing.
Mhm.
But with certain items, it's like, man, like I really don't know where it's gonna land because I just
Do we
really
need
like it
two of
here and I
those?
really like it there. Yeah.
Yeah. Do we need to make another purchase? Do we need two of them? One in every
Yeah.
room. Yeah.
Totally. Like there are a couple of accessories. Oh my gosh. I know we both have this book, the Mark D. Sykes
Yeah.
Beautiful book.
That
It's
should
so
just be in
easy to
every room.
style. Yeah,
Yes.
I know. Like forever toting that one around. And
Yes.
then the bar cart. The bar cart
The
can
bar
literally
cart.
go anywhere.
The great thing about the bar cart is it's on wheels, and
Yeah.
if you do follow me, you've seen my bar cart a lot, but it's on wheels. So if you're entertaining, you can pull it out to that space. If you need it as a nightstand, you can put it next to your bed. It's on wheels. It's a neutral element. And so it just has been one of those items that has worked so well in my house in so many different spaces. And when
Yeah,
it is
totally.
January and you're wanting to refresh your spaces, I mean, sometimes it's a good thing to start with what you already have, you know. So
Yeah.
you can move things around. You just got to make sure that each room has balance, and then you're not walking into that room where that item once was and now sad that it's gone. So, you know.
Yes. Yes. Okay. All right. I love this. So much to work with, so much to think about, and ways to just improve our day-to-day quality of life. I'm really loving this episode. Okay. So tell us a little bit about what a typical day looks like for you.
Okay, well, if it's not freezing out and the kids are in school, typically, well, let's start at the beginning. I wake up at 4:45, which I know sounds,
No.
yes, I know it sounds insanely early, but I do go to bed at like 8:30. So I am
Okay.
getting plenty
Mhm.
of sleep right there. But I'm a morning person and my
Yeah.
kids wake up early, so I have to get a head start. Like if they wake up before me, it's already over. Like it's just, the
Mhm.
day's gonna be like, oof. So I get up at 4:45, make my coffee, I sit in the quiet for a little bit. Um,
Mhm.
I usually take a few moments to just sit and think about my day. It's almost like somewhat of a meditation for me. Think about how I want my day to look and what I need to do, to have a good day to get through it with the children, thinking about the schedules. And then I usually do my morning post. That's always just been my routine. I always post first thing in the morning
Yeah.
and I check my emails and then I get the kids ready for school, take them to school.
Mhm.
Then I usually have a workout. So I love nothing more than to just go for a run in my hometown.
Mhm.
That's one of my favorite things about the morning. Right now it is
Mhm.
so cold. I am not doing that. So if I'm not doing that, I'm going to hop on the Peloton or go to a class. So
Mhm.
after that, typically I just try to get all the hard work done between that time and 2 o'clock. So
Yeah.
that's, computer work, or maybe it's getting ready for a photo shoot, or if I'm working on a client project,
Mhm.
all of that's happening during that time. And then once I get the kids home from school, I try really hard to not work. as much as possible. I mean, if it's like an email here or there, that's fine. But I'm trying to spend that time with them helping with homework, this after school snack, getting dinner ready,
Mhm.
maybe watching a movie with them. And that has been like all along that's been important to me because I
Yeah.
always wanted to be the one to pick them up at school and then have that time with
Yeah.
them. So,
Yeah.
and I go to bed at 8:30. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
No joke. That is, oh gosh,
yeah,
that sounds actually just blissful. One thing that I've always known about you too is that you really enjoy the dinner making process,
yeah,
right?
yeah, I
Yeah.
do. I'm trying to get back into that a little bit more. So work kind of took over for a while and it got to the point where that felt hard. And that was
Mhm.
when I was like, okay, I got to change something here because this has always been one of my favorite parts of the
Mhm.
day. Like
Mhm.
turning on a playlist, lighting a candle, maybe having a
Mhm.
glass of wine and cooking. And that is like the evening routine that I love so much. So when
Mhm.
that started becoming a chore, I was like, okay, we got to think about things here and slow down a little bit because that is something that I truly love to do. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I love that too. I think I share that vision with you and try really hard to operate in the same manner. I've created a schedule to have it be so that I pick up the kids from school and that have that block of time too. I think it's important for people to hear that because for me at a desk job for many, many years and not getting home until like 6 o'clock or something, I used to think the only people who got to be with their kids after school were stay-at-home moms or
right.
people who didn't work. And actually, there is just a lot of nuance and possibility in something in the middle.
Yeah,
And, I like that you're kind of putting that example out there. You are following a dream that you're passionate about. You're watching as it morphs over the years, but the things that are really important to you, your personal values, you're maintaining. And when you notice that things are getting out of sync, you're making changes to get them back on track.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
because you can't I mean, otherwise, overall, then everything just kind of falls apart. I mean, not falls apart, but, you need that balance to keep every area of your life healthy. So
Mhm. Yeah, and doing what works for you specifically as an
right.
individual. The 4:45 wake up and the 8:30 bedtime work well with, how your body functions, like, that is feels healthy for you, and you've taken time to really identify that and to identify that routine of getting ready, having the quiet time, being awake before the kids are awake, that routine of exercising once the kids are dropped off. I mean, you've been doing these things since for
Yeah,
as many years as I've known you.
yeah.
Um, and I think sometimes when someone hasn't found their groove yet,
Mhm.
we look first to what should I do versus like what will really work for me and for my family. And
Right.
I love how your example is a little bit untraditional. You know what I mean? Like it's even
Right.
earlier than someone might think, but you know what? That works for you.
It works for me for sure. So as long as you're getting your 8 hours of sleep. Actually, it's probably more like 7 most of the time, but
We're
make
10.
sure you're resting.
Yeah.
So, yeah, sure.
Yes. Okay. So it was awesome hearing about your day and I think really encouraging. Let's move into the next segment, which is called
Alright.
This or That.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So just tell me the answer
Okay.
that seems most right on for you. Maybe both are, have some truth to them, but
Yeah.
let's
Okay.
pick a favorite.
Okay.
Okay. Read a book or listen to a playlist.
Oh gosh. Okay, this is tough because I love both. So, I think I would love to turn on a good playlist and then read a really good coffee table book while I'm listening to that playlist, like a good design book,
Ooh.
like a beautiful coffee table book
Yes.
full of interiors. Does that count as reading?
Actually, yes, and that's a great idea, and I should try that.
Yes, I know. Sounds lovely. So,
Yeah, just like a full sensory experience.
yes,
Light a
100%.
candle.
Yes, and like yes, cup of coffee. I mean, perfect Saturday morning, right?
Yeah, actually, that sounds great.
I
Okay.
know.
I am who I am, or I'm always evolving.
I'd say I'm always evolving. I think that 100%. Just always something new is always changing, coming up, and I like that. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
totally. Keeps
Yeah.
things interesting, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, go on an adventure or stay in and relax.
Oh gosh, probably stay in and relax. Like,
Yeah.
I I'm a homebody through and through, so I would stay in.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
rewatch favorites or search for a new show.
Rewatch favorites for sure.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, I'm actually kind of surprised by that one. Is there one that comes to mind though?
Oh gosh. Well, You've Got Mail is always just like easy to turn on
Yeah.
either while you're working or wanting to just sit and watch and just, we actually we
Mhm.
in the winter we watch a lot of old classic movies. Actually, we just watched Baby Boom the other day, which is such an old one with
Oh,
Diane Keaton. So funny. I mean, it's
yeah.
such a good movie, but it's so funny with like the 80s saxophone playing in every scene.
Yes.
But no, we love watching old movies and we love introducing them to our kids too. So if they're appropriate, that is.
Yeah, that is so fun. It's so funny because I think there's so much that we miss when we're kids that then like watching the movie back as an adult, we realize like, okay, there's a lot going on here that I didn't
Right.
realize because the
Yeah.
last time I saw this, I was 9 and I
Right.
didn't understand that they were
Uh-huh.
talking about this naughty thing.
Totally. That totally happens. No,
Yeah.
we watched Father of the Bride with our kids the other day and they loved it. They love that movie.
Oh, I'm
So
writing this down right now.
yeah,
That
yeah.
is so fun.
Yes. And then my daughter proceeded to binge watch, Father of the Bride 2. And then Nancy Myers did the third last year. The like really short film that she did last year,
Oh,
Father of the
yeah,
Bride.
that's right.
Yeah, no, there actually
Amazing.
was one, or it was last fall. I had this like 2 months where I turned on a fun classic movie in the background while I was working every day. And like I did a different one every day. It was like going to Dry Bar, but in the office where they
Yeah.
have like, the chick flicks playing.
Yeah.
So
I love that. That's
yeah,
some really nice background. That really sets a tone.
it did. And I was definitely like selective with what I was watching. I
Mhm.
had to have like a really great set, be inspiring, but no, it was fun. So
Mhm. I love
anyway,
that.
yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. The more the merrier or more fun with fewer?
Oh gosh. Okay, well, I want to say the more the merrier, but not really. I don't like to exclude people ever, ever,
Right.
ever. But I really like small crowds. Like I would choose an intimate dinner over a big party any day.
Yeah.
So I don't know, fewer
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure. So
Here for humor or please be serious?
oh, humor. We all need to laugh. We need to laugh more. So here
Yeah.
for humor. And I can't be too serious. So
Okay, so we're going to jump into rapid fire. I'm
yes.
just going to ask you a few short
Okay.
questions so that we get to hear about
Mhm.
some of your favorite things and recommendations.
Okay.
So, what is something that you have read lately that you would recommend?
Oh, well, I'm currently reading a book by Lala Delia called Vibrate Higher Daily. Um, and I love it. It's about living with intention through um, vibrational based livings, like the power of your thoughts and choosing the positive energies over the negative and
Uh-huh.
how it affects your daily life. So that's a great book. It's a fast read. And I would definitely like I am almost finished with it, but I would definitely recommend that for everybody,
Yeah.
anybody. So yeah.
Well, I'm for sure going to read it then. You've
Yeah.
never steered me wrong. I've actually had quite a few book recommendations from Maggie that I've loved. So if you're listening, you've got to pick it up too.
Funny
Um,
because I don't read that often. But yeah. So when I
well,
do,
you recommended a few that I've loved, like
I know.
Dave Brodsky, who was a
Yes.
guest very recently
I
on the
just
show.
listened to
You're the
that.
one
That was
who told
great.
me about Fair Play.
Yes, yes, that was a great book. So I'm excited to start her next book. So
Yes, find your unicorn
Yes,
space,
for
which
sure.
is very much in line with what
Yeah.
this podcast is all about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I would agree. So,
Yes. Okay. What is something that you've watched recently that you've enjoyed?
oh gosh. Okay. This is like cheesy,
Go for it.
thoughtless, but Emily in Paris. I'm in the second season right now. And I do it when I'm folding laundry, I watch it. It's like an
Yeah.
easy, I'm there for the fun fashion, and it's just
Yeah.
a good, easy show to watch. So,
Yeah. It is super fun. I saw the first season and I've
mhm.
actually been waiting to start the
Oh,
second
so
one
good. Yeah.
because I have a feeling I'm gonna want to like fly through it.
I know. It
Um,
does go quickly because they're shorter episodes. So, but yeah, do that while I fold laundry. So then I don't like feel as guilty about taking that time to watch something. But
oh yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. But yeah, that is a fun one.
Yeah,
And Lily Collins is adorable.
she's adorable for sure. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
What's not to love? Okay.
Yeah.
Um, Now outside of your primary work that we kind of talked about so
Mhm.
far, is there any hobby or interest that you've been getting into lately?
Oh gosh, I feel like I have a million. Um,
Oh, that's a great answer. I actually love that. Usually I hear like, well, I don't know.
okay. I My mom taught me to needlepoint when I was a little girl. So
Mhm.
that is always something I love to do if I have the time. It's very relaxing to me. Um, I love working in the yard. It's too cold right now, but we do have a greenhouse. So working in the greenhouse if I get a chance to go out there. But I do love working in the yard, planting flowers. Like that's always, I don't know, just something about being outside and working in the soil. It's just a good feeling. And I love cooking, and I love, exercising and
Mhm.
things
Yeah.
like that. So, yeah.
Yeah. A lady with many interests.
Yes. Oh, recently during the pandemic, my mom taught me how to play mahjong. So Saturday nights we were getting together, my mom, my aunt, and my sister and I, and doing that, and that was a lot of fun. We haven't played in a while, but that was fun.
That I love everything about that. Like
Yeah.
the whole vibe, the whole aesthetic.
Yeah.
I remember learning about mahjong a little bit reading an Amy Tan book
Uh-huh.
many, many years ago, like probably 2 decades ago, and
Yeah.
being very enamored.
It's fun. It's addicting. It's a lot of fun to play. So,
Yeah. Oh, and
yeah.
what was it in recently? Crazy Rich Asians. Did you ever
Yes.
see that movie?
Yes. That's a fabulous movie. Yes.
Yeah. Also
They play
very visually stunning.
Yes. Yes. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
But I
That
remember seeing mahjong again there and being like,
Yeah.
"Ooh, I wanna know how to."
Uh-huh.
So, is it challenging? Like, how long does it take to learn?
I was really surprised that I picked up as quickly as I did. At first,
Mhm.
it felt overwhelming to me. I was like, but no, you pick up quicker than you think, and it's a lot of fun. So, especially if you're playing with, if you have a fun group of people to play with, it's fun
Yeah, always key for a game night.
for sure. So,
Yes, love it.
yes, yes.
Okay, is there some favorite thing, a product, an app, a tool, something that you would recommend to a friend or a colleague that just improves life?
I should like have a handful of these off the top of my head, but um, I
There's
don't know.
one I can think of because you were just holding it a minute ago.
What was that?
A fantastic Stanley thermos, I believe?
Oh, yes. No, this is the best. It's huge. I love this so much. Also, you know what this is really silly, but recently
Mhm.
my mom gave me this little stand to put my phone on. And I don't know why, but that I feel like that at my desk has been a big improvement rather than my phone laying flat here. Um, I
Yeah.
mean, I should have like my coffee frother, my milk frother. I couldn't go without that each day. Like that is one of my favorite things in the morning. So,
Yeah, totally,
yep.
totally. What a quality of life win
I
that is
know.
so simple, love a
I know.
frother.
I know.
Okay, so we think we kinda know a person when we get to see their life play out to some degree on Instagram or on social media, whatever. So, I love this question because it kinda reminds us that there's more behind the scenes. There's just always more. So, what is something that people would be surprised to learn about you?
I am terrified of heights. Terrified of heights.
Uh-huh.
I know, like, that's crazy, but no, I am. I really am scared of heights. So much that one time on site, I was at a site visit. My husband was with me, and I had to climb a ladder to go up to the second floor, which I think was only a 10-foot ceiling. So I'm only 10 feet off the ground, but I could not go back down the ladder. I mean, like, I froze. I couldn't do it. I
Yeah.
panicked. Like, panic set in. So my husband got a forklift and put a pallet on it and came over because there was no wall up still.
Yeah.
Came over. They put me on the pallet on the forklift and
Oh my
lowered me
gosh.
back down. Can't do it. I mean, like, I will freeze. I will panic. I will freeze. And this happens a lot at site visits, actually. So when I get up on the second floor and the railings aren't up yet and the walls aren't up yet, I get very, like, I don't even know what the word is, but panicky.
Yeah. As I was going to say
Not to the
panic.
point where I'm, like, having a full-on panic attack, but I get nervous, like, really kind of scared nervous. So
Yeah.
I'm terrified of heights. Yeah.
Actually, question then. When you
Mhm.
see other people go to the edge of something, like,
Oh,
does
no.
that bother you too?
Yes. Oh my gosh. I mean, with my kids, always I've been like that. Like, even just at the top of the stairs, I panic. So yeah.
Like, step back.
Mm-mm, I don't. Yeah. Don't do well with that. So
Yeah. Okay, this is actually so I didn't know this about you before just
yeah.
now.
Yeah.
But this is really funny to me, Maggie, because this is actually a big thing for my husband, Dan, as well.
Oh,
Dan,
really?
if you're listening, I hope you don't kill me, but yeah, like one of his hugest pet peeves in life
Mhm.
is seeing other people on the edge of something steep. Like
Oh
it
yeah. Yeah.
irritates him.
No. I know. Like, all these people in the Grand Canyon with their phones and they're, like, taking a
Yeah.
selfie at the edge of the cliff. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I just
Like,
can't.
why?
I don't
For what?
I don't know. I can't do
The
it.
risk.
I know. I cannot do it. So yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Okay, so last
Mhm.
question. Finish this sentence. You'll never see me.
Propelling off a mountain, skydiving, bungee jumping. None of it. No.
Oh
Never.
my goodness. Okay,
No.
so I guess you can never be a bachelor contestant.
Nope. Oh, no. No way.
I mentioned this because the new season just
Yeah.
started and it seems like they always have an element of heights.
Yes, they do, and I remember when I used to watch it, always thinking, "Oh my gosh," like, I would be so mad if somebody forced me to do that. So,
So mad.
I can't, no. Mm-mm. So,
Oh my
I don't know,
gosh.
maybe I need to work on that. My son got a VR for Christmas, and I did do the plank, which is, like, a terrifying experience. Like, I had to, like,
Wait, what
take
is the plank? I have no idea what you're talking about.
so it's a game on the VR where you are in a skyscraper and you walk out on, like, a plank over, you're
Oh no.
hundreds of stories up in the air. And I mean, I start sweating and I was panicking. I was like, "I can't do it. I cannot do it." And I had to take it off. So,
Oh my gosh,
I
but
mean,
it
I guess
sounds
I
like
could try to overcome
exposure therapy.
I know, maybe I need to do the VR more often and try to overcome the fear. I don't know.
Or maybe you are afraid of the correct things because they're actually dangerous.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I always thought like the fear of heights generally
Uh-huh.
is like like I definitely share it. I wouldn't say like in an
Yeah.
extreme way, but
Mhm.
to me it's like a no-brainer. Like you should
Yeah.
be afraid of falling to your death.
Right, I know. And I think for me, I didn't realize how afraid I was of heights until I was an adult and going, like, on these site visits and then realizing that there's no railing and looking down 2 stories and,
Oh
like,
yeah.
it would, like, set in where I'd be like, suddenly I would kind of get almost vertigo-y.
Yeah.
It's strange. I didn't realize it until, like, more recently, but nope,
Yeah.
not doing it. Not doing
Not
it.
doing it. Oh my goodness.
Nope.
Well, I'm really happy that you did do
Yeah,
this podcast episode today. It's been
thank
such a treat.
you. Thank you so much. This was so fun.
All
My
right.
first
Well,
podcast ever. So thank you. I'm so glad it was with you.
such an honor. Hopefully you'll be back in the future.
Yes, for sure.
You can connect with Maggie York on Instagram at Margaret of York to get incredible home and lifestyle inspiration, as well as incredibly practical tips on making your home work for you with practical strategies and beautiful styling. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed your time with us today, please share this episode with a friend, then subscribe, follow, leave a comment, or give us a 5-star review. As I mentioned, this episode marks the end of season 1, but I'll be back before you know it with more chats with top authors, experts, and influential personalities. We'll be serving up simplified applied psychology, habit theory, and quality of life tips and tricks that you can put into action right away. Until season 2, I'm Kate Hammer, and you know how to live.